This is Secret Invasion, episode number 3, called Betrayed. This is my review, my recap, my retort, my recall, whatever I can remember. Because a lot of stuff I do miss when I do these recalls, recaps, retorts, whatever. Because unfortunately, thus far, Secret Invasion has been a disappointment for me. Personally, okay? If you hear a noise in the background, that's the fan. I hope it's not too loud, because I'm not turning it off. Because it's like 1 billion, gajillion, fulfillion degrees at nighttime here in Philly. But anyway, Secret Invasion, I'm not going to pretend like it's been great. Other people might feel that way. I don't feel that way. It's been alright. As I said, it has Falcon and the Winter Soldier vibes to it. It has Black Widow vibes to it. That sort of spy, espionage, who's who, who's betraying who. Because see, now it's not even a matter of who's a Skrull and who's not. It's a matter of who's trying to trick who's trying to pull one over on who else. You know what I mean? Because obviously not all the Skrulls are evil. Now, this episode, it starts off with Nick Fury at home. And they've been doing flashback sequences, you know, de-age Nick. And he was in an all-black restaurant in 1990-something. Now, if this was the 50s, it would have made more sense because it was like segregation, but all-black restaurant in late 90s. 1998 is an all-black restaurant. And so it's like a black Skrull restaurant, I think, right? Again, my recall, you know, because a lot of the episodes aren't repeat watch-worthy. So he meets this young black lady who we saw as his wife in the end of last episode. So he does know she's a Skrull, because she says it depends on what day of the week it is. This is the face I'm using. So then we flash forward, and they're talking about food. She talks about how you were gone after the blip, then you were gone, you went on the Saber space station. Sweetheart, you're married to Nick Fury, the ultimate spy, the leader of the world's largest, like, spy network, peacekeeping agency, counterintelligence. Like, it's basically the CIA of the future. That's what S.H.I.E.L.D. is to Marvel. They're basically the CIA. Where have you been? Why did you do that? Like, come on with the dumb stuff. I'm really tired of, and this is kind of a trope, of wives that marry men that are like married to their business as well, and they're going, why aren't you home all the time? Because I'm doing what I've been doing ever since I met you. That's an issue I had with The Long Halloween, the animated adaptation from the graphic novel. All of a sudden, Gilda Dent is this just emotionally damaged person. Like, Harvey, I can't believe you married Harvey freaking Dent, the one that you called Apollo, the one that everybody was in love with. He's still doing what he's always been doing. Come on with the tropes. Sorry. So, yes, he was on a space station. You're from outer space. So he has to monitor things. Another clue that he's going to be around for the Marvels. So obviously Nick Fury will be fine at the end of this series. So manufactured tension, I think it was Talos, okay? And he talks about he was outed as the general. He has a one-on-one with Gravik in what's supposed to be a public place. But he mentioned something about Gaia, and then all of a sudden Talos, who couldn't beat the big-haired professor from episode 1, rips up Gravik. Interesting. So all of a sudden, he found the will to fight. He grabs Gravik, then everybody in the restaurant turns into Gravik. Why? That trick shouldn't work on another Skrull, should it? Wait, which one is the real Gravik? Like don't Skrulls know other Skrulls? Like, okay. So he stabs Gravik in his hand, and Gravik does something that I didn't know a shapeshifter could do, but makes sense. It makes sense if it's Clayface. He stabs him in his hand, and then he like kind of melts his hand out of the knife, and then he does this with his hand, and you see a little bit of like a flaming effect, and that immediately made me think about Johnny Storm, because the Super Skrull, there's one, he has all the combined powers of the Fantastic Four. So I'm thinking like, okay, so maybe Gravik is going to be Super Skrull. I don't know what Super Skrull's real name is. Maybe it is Gravik. I don't know. I'm just being straight up with you guys. I don't know if that's Super Skrull's real name. But then they said what I ultimately did not want to hear. Gravik says an army, maybe not army, but super scrolls, plural. What I did not want to hear. I hate it when they take a great character and they minimize them by making a whole bunch of the same people. Like they did the Taskmaster program. Garbage! Now they're taking Super Skrull, singular, and he's saying Super Scrolls. You understand what I'm saying? It's like, so if everybody has this, and let me divert here a little bit. This is my issue with the prequels of Star Wars. All of a sudden, every dark side user, every Sith, his first name is Darth. And they all have a red lightsaber. So now all you're doing is just picking the Darth Vader character apart. All of a sudden, his image is that of an ancient Sith war droid. So now you're taking the most dynamic, unique character, one of the most in the history of cinema, and making him passé, making him blasé. Corny! The Skrulls themselves being shapeshifters is super enough. Why an army of Super Skrulls? Come on, grab it. Think about it. You have 1 million Skrulls here. Nick Fury didn't even know. Why do all these entrenched Skrulls have to be Super Skrulls? You're shapeshifters! So, we get a little more about Gravik. You see that Gaia, as I knew, Gaia was going to be conflicted. A UN plane is flying out over, I think, the Atlantic Ocean. And Gravik saying, let's shoot this plane down with a surface-to-air missile from a submarine, or torpedo, whatever. And when I saw the submarine, it looked like that creature, what is it called in Jurassic World? Not a megalodon, but the one that the T-Rex and the Raptor blew, fought the Indominus Rex to the edge of the water, then it came out of nowhere and just snatched him up and drowned him, probably ate him too. But the submarine looks like an underwater dinosaur. I was just thinking that. So Gravik is saying, well, first of all, and I'm glad I went down this rabbit trail because now it's helping me to remember different parts of the show. The black guy with the Russian hat on, for some reason, Skrull, okay. He and 2 other Skrulls, they go under deep cover, and they change their shells, which is another stupid reason for the Skrulls to always be in human form. So remember, the black guy with the Russian hood is a Skrull. He was a new convert, new recruit to new Skrulls. So all of a sudden, now he's got to change his face again and never change it again, when he should have never changed it in the first place. So they're part of the Royal Navy. I think that's the British Navy. So they're on this sub, and they're about to blow this UN plane out of the sky. So Gaia gets word. No. Talos gets word of this threat, this imminent threat, act of terror. He gets in touch with Gaia. Gaia goes to the commander. I'm glad I'm doing the recall because now it's helping me to remember. Talos and Samuel and Nick Fury, they infiltrate the Commodore's house, and he's there with his son. So Talos gets beat up again, which is funny that he dared lay a hand on Gravik in the beginning of the episode. Talos gets beat up again. So Nick Fury has the kid, I think. And basically, the Commodore, who's really a Skrull, says, all right, give me the kid. So then the Commodore says that he does not have the launch codes, but his human host does. So that's when Gaia goes to New Skrullos. She finds the real Commodore. She does something, some kind of weird mental projection thing where she can see his thoughts. And she obtains the code, and basically the missile launch is aborted. Okay? So then Gaia, again, she's still conflicted allegedly. So she fights her way out. She's in the middle of the Russian frontier. Remember, 213 kilometers outside of Moscow. Gravik meets her in a car in the middle of nowhere. He knows exactly where she's going to go. Okay. So then they have a little back and forth. As soon as I saw it, I said, okay, Gravik's going to punch her. He shoots her. Boom! And the episode ends, I think. Now, The tone of this episode was probably the best tone so far. And I like the fact that it didn't require a lot of action. There's a little bit of action. This might be the best episode of the series. Now, last week's had the most action, but I think this might be the best episode. But still, there's no Marvel heavyweights in this. And for some reason, the Skrulls are using pistols. Why are the Skrulls using pistols? Guns? And based on what he did with the knife, and if you're a shapeshifter, why would you use a localized weapon like a pistol, a trajectory, which fires a bullet? So if you do organ damage to a shapeshifter, can't they reshape that organ and be healthy again? I mean, I don't know if I'm just like relying on nerd science, but like, if I can change everything inside of me, I mean, a shapeshifter is so OP. That's why the fact that everybody has to be a super Skrull is ridiculous. Anyway, so, but doesn't that make sense? Isn't that logical? If you damage my stomach and I'm a shapeshifter, can I just reform a stomach, like on the other side of my body, and repair my tissue? So he shoots her once, she's just laying there, and I think he turns the lights off in the car that he just magically knew where she was going to appear. And that's the end of the episode, I think. I'll say this. Betrayed, maybe the best episode. Again, it's that who knows who's going to do what, which really isn't working well. Because the alien aspect is not really at the forefront. Now they just feel like shape-shifting terrorists that can do whatever. And another problem that I had when I was watching it, okay, this is a day later. I'm telling on myself. I'm recording this a day later because I fell asleep. With shapeshifters, there's a horror vibe to it. Invasion of the Body Snatchers, horror vibe. What's another one with shapeshifters? Doctor Who, the Zygons. Terror of the Zygons, because they're shape-shifting aliens. Horror vibes. There was another one where somebody can take somebody's face, but that act, shape-shifting, is a horrific act because you're lulled into a false sense of security, then all of a sudden it's an alien. It's a horror vibe. There's no horror in Secret Invasion. It's live action, so the horror aspect should be at the forefront, right? I mean, you don't have to agree, but that's what I'm saying. Like, there's no horror to this. Green alligator lizard people with Spock ears would scare the bejesus out of anybody, but it's made passé in this series, and I think that's a drawback of the series, okay? But anyway, Betrayed, I think this was a good episode. I did not give last week's episode a grade because that just wasn't the flow, okay? So if I remember to give a grade, I remember to give it. If I don't remember, I don't remember, all right? And I keep it moving. But I'm going to give it a B. That's sign language for B, okay? This gets a solid B. This is a good episode, okay? Does it give me more impetus to watch the rest of the series? I think it does a little bit. I think the needle of anticipation that receded last week or the first week, I think it's been pushed up a little bit more. I'm not excited about next week's episode, but I'm curious. All right? And curiosity is better than indifference. Okay? So, that was Betrayed. That was my recall, my recap, my retort, my rehearsing. That's another re-word. Don't say the other re-word. It's not nice. All right. But comment below if you agree. Be a contrarian to me if necessary. If you think this was a very good episode, if you think it's a great series, please write a dissertation in the comment section. All right? And I will see you back here next week for episode 4 of Secret Invasion.